All right, so welcome back. Another episode of Can of Worms. Got all of us here tonight. Brian, Nick, Chris, and Cedric.
Yo.
And before we do get started, because we're going to do some stuff on New World tonight, just wanted to do a quick shout out on Twitter. Jokas Plays, or James. Great guy. He's been amazing for us this week in pushing people towards our channel. And also, beyond that, I know that he lost his father last year around this time. Not only that, but his father's birthday would be coming up. So, been a bit of a rough time, and just wanted to shout out some support to him, before we get started here. That being said, let's get back into to New World. Nick does not care for it that much. Cedric, I'm gonna say is probably the most level of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm about 50-60% of it. Like, so we're gonna build a community for it, and we're gonna play it for a little bit, and we're gonna try our hand at some castle sieging and whatnot. There are things that I can objectively look at and be like, this needs work. And I plan on giving that feedback to them. There are things that I look at and I go, this is great, and I wish other MMOs had this, and this is a lot of fun. And I don't think it's a bad game. I do think it needs more work. I'm glad that they pushed the game out, and I'm glad that they listened to the feedback twice with the shop as well as the skills and the cooldowns and stuff. That's how I kind of feel about it right now.
Like I said, I tend to look at things with like rose-tinted glasses, but even I have one kind of bone to pick from my first day of playing. The camps that people can make, right? The whole fucking path to this city last night looked like the path along the piss ditch at Burning Man. Like, it was nothing but bonfires for like 3 miles, and there's just no need for it. Like, I don't understand why, if within a certain vicinity, like say 100 meters, if there's a valid one that you can use, the game should be like, asshole, and just point you in the right direction. Instead of having, no, this isn't anywhere near as bad as it was yesterday. Like, if you can imagine this, like lining both sides of the street the entire way up. I almost thought people were just doing it as a joke, but
that might have been. Who knows? But I agree. There's a shit ton of them around.
So far, I'm the only one that hasn't played this. By the looks of it, I'm probably not going to. So, like, explain like I'm 5. Like, what are the bonfires for?
Oh, okay.
They're kind of like a mobile respawn point. So the world, even though the map looks small in scale in comparison, it takes a shit ton of time to get from point A to point B. And if you die, you have to go to either the nearest town or your campfire, which you can place in between there if you're doing quests or killing mobs, and that way you don't have to run a dick year back to where you were.
Save point kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know what these are yet, but I like them. One thing I do like are all the, and it's been a while since I played an MMO, so keep in mind I'm probably being a little too kind with some of these things, because I think I just miss MMOs. But I love, like, how much they seem to encourage you to actually just go off the beaten path and sort of explore.
No, that was their plan. So here's the thing. Their plan was to sidetrack you as much as possible while you were doing quests. That was what they wanted. Some of that would be like you picking up the PvP quests and sidetracking with PvP for a few hours. I'm not saying that happened yesterday with a friend of mine and I. I'm just saying that maybe that's something they wanted you to do. But the other things that, like the gathering, the crafting, and knowing that that's such a huge part of the economy, and that pretty much a lot of people, majority of people, are going to need to pick something to go into to either save themselves gold or time or hassle, whatever the case is. And in that stuff holds value, right? So it was meant. They specifically said we want to distract you as much as possible while leveling. So the fact that you feel that way just kind of drives home the fact that they had a point when they made the game during the leveling process, and they're actually executing on that point. Now, whether you think it's a good system or not, that's a little different, but their point was to distract you while leveling. There's systems in place for doing that.
Let me say one thing. I always joke around about how I'm the MMO guy who's like trying to fish while everybody's doing PvP.
Yeah.
I love the fishing in this. You guys aren't going to see me for a minute. Like, I really did enjoy it. The first time I figured it out, because, you know, I'm like running around the water like an asshole in the beginning going like, why can't I cast anywhere? I didn't realize I had to hit F3 to like go into fishing mode, you know, break out the pole and go to it. I'm trying to find a body of water I can maybe fish to show people if they haven't seen it. I'll probably run into something that will kill me though.
That is that's one thing. That's another change that they made from the preview that they had, which was mobs hurt bad.
Yeah,
real bad. Ooh. Like, you will get done up really quickly.
You know, one question I have, Cedric, and you might be able to answer, you may not know yet, but you know, earlier I was saying, like, I love when games do player housing, and I know how like Final Fantasy's done theirs instanced. Mm-hmm. I noticed, you know, a lot of this first town that I've come to, Everfall, there are plenty of places where you kind of can't. I figured I could just walk right on in, but it was like, no, those are homes. You can purchase them if you want. Do you know, like, when people purchase a home, is this something like a guild will do, or is it something like, you know, one person?
No, individual person. Now, I don't know if there's guild housing or not. I know that there's housing, right? And it's for individual people. I think it's instance based when you go in, and your friends can see your house if you allow them to, and all that fun stuff. But more importantly is the fact that houses mean something to everyone. So what I mean by that is, not just decorating it and being like, oh, you know, if you're not into RP, or you're not into like decorating a house, like a lot of people aren't. That's not my thing. I
am actually terrible at it, but I'll spend like hours doing the dumbest shit.
I've seen some of the most beautiful, like, made and furnished 14 houses, and I was just like, I don't get the point, but that's gorgeous.
You have wasted your time wonderfully.
Yeah, you have wasted your time perfectly, which, I mean, we're all doing on a game, but you're a special gem. But no, like, it's so there's a reason for it. So it's not just for it to look good. That's actually one of the reasons, obviously. But things provide buffs that you can put in your house, and like actual stat sticks for a while. Having it in your house, and it also serves as a respawn point. So housing is actually more important in the game than it usually is in other games, for that factor alone.
And I was wondering if they were going to, like, if they had plans to allow people to settle outside of the cities. It doesn't really sound like it. I don't think the map would be large enough. You know, like with the original. Did you ever play Star Wars Galaxies before they completely fucked it up?
No.
So it had, like, I can't remember how many planets at launch. I want to say like 4 or 5. Does anybody know?
I don't remember. I didn't play it long enough to really give a damn about it. I hate to say that.
No, it's okay. But I mean,
fair.
The fact is, like, they had massive maps. I mean, like, large enough that when we're talking about player housing, like, you could just build your house like way out in the middle of the wilderness. And like, I had a buddy who built his house on, I want to say it was Kashyyyk or Tatooine, and like the way he remembered it is that he had to go from the gates of this one town, face like a very specific direction, and then it was like half an hour by speeder to get out to his house.
Jesus Christ.
But keep in mind, he also had like moisture reclamators and all that shit that like made him a bunch of money. And since it wasn't instanced, like, if somebody found it, they could just lay waste to it if they wanted to. It's a pretty ruthless game, but I also kind of enjoyed the hell out of it too. I see elements of that with this, and I enjoy it, but I also see how, like WoW really sort of changed the dynamics for MMOs. And like, you can't really have a game, I think, that is that, I don't know how to put it, but laissez-faire, really, from the game's actual perspective, where it just gives everything to the players and says, have at it, kill each other, we don't give a shit. You get a lot more direction now in everything.
I'm a little sad that they moved away from their initial direction, which was full loot PvP. I think that they need to reconsider that down the game's path and make it maybe a specific area that has super high tier loot or like crafters and whatnot, and make it a point of contention, and make it a PvPvE zone, so that also the corrupted, which is supposed to play a major part in pretty much everything, has a say in this and whether you die. And it just needs to be a very dangerous zone forever. Like, doesn't matter if you hit in game, doesn't matter if you have great gear. It's a dangerous zone, and there's a point to go there.
It's sort of like what they meant to do with the Dark Zone and Vision.
Kinda, yeah. And that needs to be a part of some of the in-game that Nick was talking about, because I do agree it's a little light, even for a PvP-based game. Some of the options are a little light, but
yeah, I haven't seen a lot yet. So, like I said, I've yet to see the cracks. I should say.
I will say that that's not the end game, or necessarily what you can and can't do in the game. Doesn't concern me. It doesn't bother me. Honestly, that makes this game kind of perfect for those that want to try out other things that are happening during the same time. So this game, you really, once you get to max level, when you're running dungeons and you're crafting gear, it makes it perfect, because you get on, you're going to gather some stuff, you're going to craft some stuff, you're going to talk with your friends, and then you guys, if you're doing fort defense or fort attacking and sieging, then you're going to have specific times that you do that, and that will allow you to play other games and do other things. I'm very much a fan right now of games that allow you to have a second game, third game, fourth game, should you want to enjoy other things with friends. Like, but if you want to do it, if you want to play this hardcore, you can. I mean, that is not stopping you. There's 14 weapons for you to level and max out. Have at it. That shit's gonna take forever.
I was gonna say, they don't level quickly.
Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I think you might have. Oh, okay. No, you're just
just counting 17 professions for you to max out. And those go to bumfuck hundreds, so have at it. Again, if you're a completionist and you want like a full game experience and you want to go hardcore on this, you can. It's just that some of those things won't appeal to everyone that isn't a completionist. That's all right, but that's perfect, again, because there's a lot of games coming out Q3, Q4 that you can play this in tandem with. And you get your PvP itch, you get your crafting itch, and then whatever else this game's not itching for you or scratching for you, find it in a different game. It's perfect. You want to raid? Okay, play this in Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, because oh man, big news this week. I was listening to Asmongold's video where he basically read the I think it was the letter from one of the main devs, basically explaining how Blizzard has chased away all of its best talent and kind of screwed themselves. It was actually a really good video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. He made a lot.
I've liked his most recent stuff that he's done.
Yeah,
he's had some pretty solid content, especially the 14 content's been pretty good.
Yeah, he apparently has been really sort of enjoying himself. From what I've heard, you get kind of burnt out on stuff, obviously, but even with that being said, as a streamer who does it really almost full time, to basically just up and leave, it's kind of like quitting a very lucrative job just because you're so damn sick of it.
That's like an Oompa Loompa leaving the chocolate factory, just being like, nah, I found better opportunities.
So sick of butt chocolate, you bastard.
I'm a type 4 diabetic. It doesn't even exist anywhere else. All I ever eat is fucking chocolate. It's terrible.
But yeah, I mean, that's definite warning sign though about things to come. And I mean, I'm not trying to hate on WoW. I mean, I played it for a while, way back. Well, I shouldn't say way back, but back in the day. you know, if you have people looking at it and looking at other games, and given I'm partial to Final Fantasy 14, but
It's amazing.
right. I mean,
I'll be
I've
the
played
first to
for a
say
long
that.
time. Yeah, but
And in fact,
I don't know, man.
I
It's
kind
just
of want to play it again.
you get that itch every 6 months. I see you on twice, and then you stop.
It's only $15 for me to find out.
Like,
Right there.
You talking about herpes or what?
oh, the $15, that's free, my guy.
Right, I was like, my herpes cost me nothing. That is absolutely free. I should really make sure people know that I'm. No, you know what? It doesn't matter. Fuck them. It made me think of a joke. I can't remember the name of the comedian. And
Put that fish in your pocket.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I know, right? I'm a nasty motherfucker. That's why I have herpes. But I can't remember the guy's name, the comedian, but it was really funny. He was like, I'm so safe when it comes to sex that I automatically assume the other person has herpes. That way, I don't have to tell them about my herpes.
I need you to find out who that is, and if it's not Mitch Hedberg, I need a name.
He's got Jeselnik, I think is his last name. Anthony Jeselnik. It sounds right, but also wrong. So I'm probably butchering his last name. He's real dry, but the stuff he says sometimes is just so damn funny.
Okay.
Anyhow, I got us way off track, but yeah. So New World. One question I do have for you, Cedric, I just thought of.
Yo.
So I know you can only use your shield if you're using like a one-handed sword, and I mean like,
Yes.
Actively use it. Do you still get any benefit from, say, having it on your back if I'm just using a hatchet?
No.
No, and actually it works against you because it goes against your weight class. So there's 2 weight classes in the game, and I'm not sure if you picked up on it yet or not. You may have. So you have your character weight, and then you actually have your backspace weight. Your character weight, there's 3 classes that you get fit into, just like Dark Souls. You have your light armor or your lightweight class, your medium weight class, and your heavyweight class.
Okay.
If you have a shield on your back, it's counting against your weight class. So if you're trying to get into like the medium bracket or even the light bracket and you don't know why you can't, and you have a shield on your back but you're not using it, that's probably why.
Yeah, it also doesn't raise your armor while it's on your back.
It does not. No.
That shield can eat a dick then. I don't need that.
Now shield and sword and board in this game is absolutely
Amazing.
donkey. It's just donkey. It's ridiculous. So I mean, it's not a bad idea to run them, but yeah, if you're not actually using a sword along with that shield gun, put that bad boy up.
I love the hatchet. It feels so vicious.
Everybody loves the hatchet. It's just a dirty fucking weapon, and the amount of perks that you get with the hatchet are just dirty.
I mean, you feel like Jesus, man, it's like being Armageddon wearing the skin of a man. You're just going nuts on people like some old school barbarian. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
I honestly think they need to like move some of these skills around from hatchet to like great axe and a couple of other like either two-handers or sword. Some of the sword and board skill trees.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
crazy. Well, I want to dive into that here in just a moment. I'm gonna let you finish your point because I think I might have interrupted. Yeah.
No, you weren't. I was just gonna like try to attack that dude, but apparently it was the. I went apeshit with all my cooldowns, and he was running away, so none of my hits count.
Yeah, I was about to ask about that. I was like, so does damage normally not happen in this game? Or
I'm a real bitch, that's all. I'm terrible.
Go ahead and put you in the group here.
Oh, yeah. I guess we should have done that a while back. Let me, Oh, wait, are you guys close? You guys...
We're spread all out, all over, but
Oh, my.
it's just, the one thing I do like about, not one thing, I like a lot of things about this game actually. But the one major thing that I like about this game is that there's really no penalty for being in a party while playing, and so it promotes you playing in a party with your friend, kind of how like those were supposed to be played. Anka, like,
I know.
it's like, oh wait, I don't get penalized for doing my quests and killing mobs while in a party. Oh, by the way, it has voice chat for that party built in. Yeah.
Well, even WoW doesn't do that anymore. If you're not within the vicinity of each other, then it doesn't do that anymore.
Even when, but that's the thing. Like, if you're not within the vicinity of one, like, even if you're in a vicinity of someone, like, it doesn't take away the XP. And so I like that. It doesn't. I just like the fact that it doesn't punish that.
As someone who almost strictly plays MMOs by themselves, I don't like that.
I was just gonna say, I'm like one of the most antisocial people ever when I play MMOs outside of raiding.
That's so ass backwards, you two.
Isn't it?
It's just backwards. I don't know. So I'll solo on MMOs. Don't get me wrong. Like I've done it on plenty of them.
That's what I should say. It's not that I'm like antisocial. Like, don't talk to me. Like, I'm real chatty. But you know, like, I've got buddies who, when it comes to MMOs, they don't want to do anything by themselves. And it's kind of like, hey man, can I just go do these dumbass quests by myself and we can just chit chat while I'm doing them? Like, and I love doing world PvP, but that and raiding and maybe dungeons are kind of.
I had fun with WoW when I could get a group for a raid by myself and progress by myself, and like mainly Mythic Plus grinding. There's no MMO. It sucks so much that there's no MMO on the market that has been able to scratch World of Warcraft's Mythic Plus itch for me.
So I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a herpes thing.
It kind of is. Like, so back in Legion, so 3 expansions ago at this point, they introduced a new difficulty to dungeons called Mythic Plus, and every time you complete a Mythic Plus, if you complete it within a time frame, it goes up however many amounts of levels based on how good you do, and it just makes the dungeons more difficult, adds modifiers, and all this other stuff. You get
like they did with Diablo.
Yes, but fun.
Damn, good. Cedric? Oh my god, did you know that you're black?
Yeah. Not only that, but I look like a fucking conquistador.
You do, and I actually really dig that. What are those pink shoes?
Yeah, they are. Like, hey,
man.
Hey, like, how you doing?
But yeah, that's I don't know. That's why I don't like this game or most MMOs that's been getting released recently, just because nothing's been able to scratch my itch of competitive PvE content.
Oh, see, I'm kind of more of a Cedric on the you know, I enjoy like the PvP parts of these games. Like, this game would be my PvP and kind of just when I'm dicking around sort of MMO. It wouldn't be like the Final Fantasy 14, you know, very serious going into raids. That actually brings up a good question. So 14 never scratched your itch, so to speak?
There's no competitive aspect to it. That's why I don't like it. The actual gameplay of 14 is good. The design of the dungeons and raids are excellent, but they don't have something that scratches the Mythic Plus itch for me, because they have timed dungeons, but they're not any harder than the like hard difficulty dungeons. And
I don't know about that.
I was gonna say, I was just over.
Compared to Mythic Plus, when you get deep into Mythic Plus in World of Warcraft, that content becomes harder than raiding.
Right. No, and I get that. I'm just saying they definitely have like levels harder than hard on that. It doesn't stack every time you beat it, and so that's where.
But the gear that you get from it is also like, it pales in comparison to raid content. Like in WoW, the thing that I liked about Mythic Plus in WoW, and is the reason why it has been the most fun for me compared to other MMOs, is because I like the timed aspect of it. I like the increased difficulty with the modifiers, and I like that was a alternate gear path compared to raiding, and there was a leaderboard aspect to it where I could compare my overall scores and times and completions to other people.
I need a new keyboard. Look at that. QWQ. All by mistake.
See, I don't know. Because I was wondering where you're going at with the competitive PvE version. So I mean, like that sounds like the ultimate versions of the raids that are in, like, you know. And I get it to a point. I guess.
Raids. I don't want just raiding. I want 5 main group content and 10 main group content. I want different things that I can, like, in Final Fantasy 14 there is one competitive aspect, and that's high-end raiding. Period. I appreciated, mainly in Legion, because after Legion it was pretty shit. I appreciated grinding up my Raider IO score, doing like the highest Mythic Pluses I could, getting gear that was better than raid gear because of how high the difficulty was, and there being... Technically, there was an upper limit to gear. There was a cap to what you could get, but that cap was on par and in some situations better than the highest tier of raid gear. But it was in some cases way more difficult.
Now, Chris, what I was watching you play the other day, and I might have missed you actually explain all of this a second ago, so I apologize if I'm about to sound like an asshole.
No,
but
no, you're good, man.
You were in like
I sound like an asshole all the time.
I do. You were in like a 4-man for 14?
4
yeah.
main groups, yeah.
Yeah, so you were in a smaller group, and weren't you playing like a dungeon that had specific modifiers on it?
Not really modifiers. So, I mean, there are different difficulties, and yeah, I mean, there's times and stuff like that, but
the
for the most part,
yeah,
I mean, for the most part, I mean, and I'm gonna be honest, Nick is correct in everything he's said so far. Like, I'm not arguing at all with it, because the competitive edge is when people want to get to like the maximum gear score now, so they have to go.
We can run back to town.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though, yes, I love Final Fantasy 14, nothing Nick just said was wrong. It wasn't hateful, I don't think, but, you know, I mean, it's not meant to be offensive. It's just the truth. There's not a competitive edge in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, and so, like, that mode, the time to dungeon runs on the harder difficulty for the Final Fantasy 14 dungeons, those are comparable to a degree to Mythic Plus, but the rewards for doing that content
aren't the same.
It's just simply not there. Or at least when I played it, the rewards for doing that were so abysmal, I didn't see a point to do it other than dailies.
Okay. And do you think that maybe they don't do that so that, or maybe they're concerned that like raiding will take a backseat if they do that?
No, I don't think there's any kind of forethought like that. I just don't think it's a particular mode that they're interested in currently. And to be fair, I will say there's probably a reason why WoW is probably the only MMO with a structured dungeon system like that. And it's not perfect. When I say the gear is better, you also have to get the gear, and it has some of the most fucked drop rates I've ever seen in my life. But the actual challenge of doing it, getting a good group together, and then doing content that just keeps scaling up and up and up and up, and you're constantly like trying to get better. Like when I did Mythic raiding, I didn't feel like I was getting better. I felt like I was just learning a rhythm and then repeating it. Mythic Plus, I as a player had to become better. And I had to adapt. I had to adapt to the other people I played with. I had to have situational awareness 24/7, and I was constantly being pressed to play as optimally as possible.
That just sounds so stressful to me. But
yeah.
I don't know. I look at it like they added that because you had Mythic Raiders that, and this is by no means before I say this, a slight against you. You enjoyed the content, that's great. But I looked at them adding that because you had people that wanted to do Mythic raiding but wasn't quite there for it. and they cried because mythic rating at the time was the end-all be-all content. So they added another layer of challenging content so that people could choose where they stopped, but still keep running something continuously that had challenge to it. That wasn't Mythic Plus, that gave them the same gear route that Mythic Raiders had for PvE. Like, so that they had the same kind of bragging rights. I'm not necessarily... Me personally, I'm not okay with that. I feel like if you want that same like gear progression, then do the same work. Like, now it turned out to be something that seems positive because it looks like it's adding more of a challenge for certain people, and that's great. But I think the reason they added that, or at least it looked like, is so that people would stop crying about there's only, you know, there's PvE progression, but it's just this lane, and people don't want to do it because they don't want to be a part of 20-man groups, which is fine.
Yeah, they've been getting shit for that for years, though.
But, you know, that stuff should be, that stuff should be coveted. Like, I feel like that takes away the point of top tier in-game systems. You know what I'm saying? Like, if mythic rating is supposed to be the top tier in-game system, and it's supposed to be the prestigious of prestigious, why make something?
Yeah, you cheapen it by
outgear it. Like, what's the point of me doing the mythic raid then?
Well, I wouldn't even. Well, I don't know how it is in Shadowlands because Shadowlands was after I quit. But what I appreciated about it is the amount of gear that was best in slot that was not in the raid, and you had to do more than one level of PvE content. High-end PvE content to get your best in slot, because now there's different avenues to get it. But at the same time, for a lot of people, that's just a different grind. It's all about like how you feel about it. I liked the difficulty and the reward of it, or at least back in Legion and Battle for Azeroth I did. I also thought the raids in Battle for Azeroth were ass, so Mythic Plus was the only fun I had.
Yeah, and I'm not saying take the system away by any means, but I think like you should keep that tier there, right? And if you even want to make it like a even tier in certain areas, that's fine. But like if you have mythic rating and you're selling it as this is the best of the best you're gonna get, like it should have, you know, it should have the best of the best, right? Like anyway, I don't want to turn it into a wild.
Well,
we were going to cover New World, but then we just
New World.
I didn't mean to talk that much about WoW, but basically, those PvE avenues are what I like in an MMO, and this game, from everything that they've talked about and shown off and everything I've played from this beta and the alpha, this game's not going to have any PvE content that I care about, and currently I find the PvE aspects of this game to be incredibly poor.
Well, I think that's just not the focus. I mean, I'm sure.
No, it's not the focus.
Yeah, it's not, and that's a fair point. Now, that's not to say they don't have PvE things happening in this game that aren't going to be a lot of fun, because they do, and those systems are actually pretty well thought out, and I like them, and I hope that other games adopt them. So let's actually talk about some of those PvE systems, because I don't want people to just think it's only a PvP game, because it's not. But it is PvP focused. We'd be lying if we said it wasn't. Come on, it was a game that was originally thought to have, or was going to originally have, full loot PvP in it. So yes, that was the focus. But you do have invasions that happen from the PvE faction, the corruptions. Yeah, if you do not check those invasions, if you don't come together as a small community to stop that invasion, then your town, whatever town was invaded, if you look at the map, there's a shit ton of little towns, they go down in the progress that everybody in the server helped build them up to. So towns level up as we do quests for the town. There's town project boards, you have to go to them and do them. Everyone should be doing them, and they incentivize you to do it with money, XP, certain currency, certain gear pieces. You need to continuously do those, because you can't unlock the crafting stations higher tiers if you don't do those things and level up those towns. So to get tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 gear or whatever, you have to have the town at tier 4 with a tier 4 smelter or tier 4 armor smith station. and each one of those stations upgrade kind of by themselves as you keep doing those project boards. So,
which is very cool. I like doing that.
Yeah, all that work that you put into it as a community, if you don't then come together and protect it as a community, you lose it. And I love it. Yeah, because there's your loop. Because if you don't want to run the bumfuck nowhere, because we established earlier in the stream that it takes a while to get around.
Yeah,
and that's why you have the campfires.
I was gonna say, I know somebody will probably be like, why did that asshole run from clear over here back to town? And it's because I wanted to show off like how far this is if you're not gonna just recall back to the inn.
Yeah.
It takes a minute.
Yeah.
It's not
and
possible.
You can fast travel, but you have to have a certain currency for it. And what's great about that is the currency, well, some people may not find it great, but I think it's smart because it's giving everything kind of a place in the game. And the reason for you having it is you use the same currency that you use to fast travel for putting mods and crafting better gear onto the gear. So once you hit past tier 3 gear, tier 4 and tier 5 becomes kind of like I won't say a lottery, but it becomes like Diablo crafting where you're not quite sure what modifiers you're going to get. And Azurite helps you craft modifiers onto that gear. Azurite is also used to fast travel. So now you have to juggle your Azurite and how much you can have on you at a point in time, which is 1,000 right now, between crafting items or fast traveling.
I've got the axe that I'm showing right now. I used a little bit of that, I think, like the lowest level you can. And that's what put the mortal lifesteal effect on this hatchet. So I do really dig the crafting quite a bit.
The crafting is great, yeah. And it doesn't take a dig year to get into. It isn't super hard gated. Like getting the towns leveled up in tiers is not very difficult, as long as everybody's doing those quests. So it really does put the onus back on the player, and I do like that. It makes it mean something when players log into the game and do these activities. They're not just selfish activities. They're activities for your faction. They're activities for people that are playing a game genre that was meant to be played by a bunch of people and socialize.
Yeah, that's true. And like I was saying earlier, I have been kind of antisocial with a lot of MMOs recently, and I think actually to a degree MMOs and I think again it's something that WoW sort of inadvertently started by trying to make itself more accessible.
Yeah,
they made them so easily soloable that a lot of people just stopped trying to get into groups or stopped trying to be social, which is sort of antithetical,
instead of dealing with the problem which calls players to say, I wish I could just play MMORPGs solo, which is an oxymoron within itself. They decided to then oblige that by putting in systems that allowed them to do that, and then it backfired on MMOs, the genre, because now players are going, well, MMOs are boring. I don't get to play with my friends. And MMO, the genre, is just looking back like the Jackie Chan meme, the what the fuck face, like, but you asked for this. That doesn't mean we should have given it to them. Like, the whole point of MMOs was to break people out of that comfort zone. It's a social aspect, and it offers challenges to a group of people to overcome. Now, if people are being dicks, deal with that problem, but don't give them systems to go into like their own little corner permanently and then go, game sucks, it's just not fun, there's nothing to do. Well, half of the part of having something to do with MMOs is making that something to do with friends.
Exactly.
While this part of the video plays, do you think we could flash Joaquin Phoenix saying, "You get what you fucking deserve"?
Yep, just remind me. I won't throw that shit in there. But it's true, like MMOs they weren't made to compete with the single player game in that environment. Like, you will never have an MMO that is as engaging as the single player game that was made to be engaging in a storyline sense.
Oh, because if it was a good MMO or any MMO worth its salt, it has those multiplayer aspects in it that you came to the game for. Realistically, like that's why you play MMO to socialize, to get some difficult content, and have something that instead of it having a shelf life of, well, when you beat the final boss, that's it. The game is a service, and it keeps growing with you. That's why you play MMO. But
right, like that's why I love Final Fantasy, is because it finds a way. Yes, you can play solo, but every aspect of that game you can do with other people, including crafting. There's a thing where you can make an airship, and you need 4 crafters to do that. So I mean, it socializes everywhere.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
One thing I'll say, like, because I know we're talking about New World, and I don't want to get off topic too much, but
we already have, but that's okay. We'll bring it back. Yeah.
Just a shout out to like the developers of Final Fantasy. They stuck in there, and they have made that into like just amazing.
It's the best MMO in the market. You're allowed to say it.
And that's the problem. I hate that it's just now getting its roses, because it has been for a very long time been the best MMO out on the market. One of the best MMOs out on the market, I'll say.
I do kind of feel bad for people getting into that game just now, because there's a lot of fucking content in that game. We could wax ecstatic about Final Fantasy 14. I feel like we do need to stay kind of on topic, because we've been at this video maybe 20, 30 minutes now, and we've spent half of it talking about other games.
Yeah.
Plus, but I mean, I also feel like that's a little bit of commentary on this game, just as, again, I'm the only one that hasn't played this, and from the outside looking in,
this is not the most exciting thing to show people. Like, I'm I mean,
even that aside, just with what you guys are saying about it, and what I'm looking at and what I'm taking in, and then how we keep going off to being like, well, this game does it right.
We're comparing.
I'm not going to play this game.
We're comparing it unfairly, is what I'll say. So let's actually be fair to the game for a moment and focus on it for just a second. Well, but let's be fair. To be fair, this is not a bad game. I don't want anyone coming away from this going, I'm not going to play it. It's a bad game. It seems boring. That's not it. This game, it's good. And what they've done with the crafting system and what they've done with, some of the other systems is very, very good. Here's what I would like to see them improve on between now and the release. There are some very key systems that are just kind of small in nature, but it's kind of like a don't-duh moment that they need to fix. So they already fixed the weapon system and weapon swapping, where if you press your skill on Q, it doesn't go on cooldown for your other weapon. That's great. That's perfect. There's a lot of theory crafting that can happen with like the combat in this game, but they're also kind of pigeonholing it by when you pop a buff on a weapon and switch, it's removing the buff.
Oh,
I can understand that. I can understand doing that for some buffs, because it would make some weapon combos OP. But for buffs such as movement speed or, other buffs, that's ridiculous. That's the whole point people want to play the game for, is to make these crazy cool combos. Yeah. And I get it, you have to balance it, but that's stupid. Amazon.
Like if you went
that's dumb.
berserk with your hatchet and then switched to
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. So go berserk with your hatchet, right? Yeah. You get, and if you spec the second portion of berserk, right, which is and I know we're saying a skill name, you guys are like, what the fuck is berserk? So let me read it off to you. So first, berserk, the skill is called berserk. Trigger berserk mode that increases all attack damage by 20% while active. Berserk mode will be active for 15 seconds. Cooldown will trigger once berserk mode ends. Okay.
Bam.
There's 2 gems for berserk. One called On the Hunt and one called Berserking Refresh. So On the Hunt gives you increased movement speed by 20% while in berserk mode. Berserking Refresh, while berserk is active, gain a portion of your health back every 5 seconds. Amount of health gained increased by how long berserk is active. These are 2 very good passives for a skill. So you get movement speed and health back, and it gives you sustainability with the hatchet. Until you switch your fucking weapon.
I was gonna say, even if it lessens like the effect of those additional bonuses, because I would get that if it somewhat diminished them, but I didn't realize it was completely overriding,
negating the effect. Yeah.
Oh, that's shitty.
Yeah. So that Amazon, I'm looking at you. What the fuck? Fix that shit. That's stupid. If there's certain things like critical rate that you don't want transferring over to another weapon because it would just make it hit too hard, fine. Put those stipulations in there. Okay. Yeah. But like movement speed and health regen, buffs,
it would be nice. Yeah.
What the fuck?
I just want to throw in there too. Right now, Amazon is in space.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's
he
back.
came back. He came back.
Oh yeah, he was only up there for 4 minutes.
He had
Again-
brunch with the Martians.
Yeah,
Against everyone's wishes, he did return.
yeah.
Oh
We tried to
my.
ban him. They had a thing going to try to say he can't.
Stop it.
I wish
I'm for real.
Jeff Bezos would have gotten
it.
launched into, no, I wish Jeff Bezos would have gotten launched into the stratosphere.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to take
There
that
we
out
go.
of the video.
Why?
Because something that, and since I'm gonna have to strip this anyway. But back into the video.
Yes.
To be fair,
I think the big takeaway for anyone that hasn't played New World is if you are someone who is interested in the big picture,
mother.
game for it.
Sorry, I just realized that like as I was just bullshitting with you, I took the 550 fucking wood I just got for this stupid quest and turned it into timber like some asshole because I wasn't paying attention.
Nice. But yeah, like if you're someone who cares about the big picture of things and the big pictures of your guild, your server, things like that, then this would be good. Me, I'm incredibly selfish. I don't care about other people. I don't care about the server. I want to be the best. I don't care about your economy.
Dude, at least you're honest about it.
Yeah, this game is not for me because I am a very, very, very selfish player.
Yes. That's alright. I'm a selfish person. I think we all are to a degree. Yeah, I guess self-awareness. Yay. The game itself, I do want it to come back to it, like probably in a week, because I assume I'll play quite a bit more of it. Outside of anything else that I might be doing, like, making a video for us. I don't really have any other games that are too pressing at the moment, so I'd like to see how long does the open beta or the closed beta last?
It's 2 weeks, so it ends August 2nd.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a
First week of August.
They must be doing it because the game itself releases on the 31st of August, right?
Yes, the 31st of August, yeah.
And I'm assuming that is now pretty much all but set in stone.
We're pretty sure that's set in stone. We don't think it's going to happen like it did last year where, like, it just wasn't ready.
Oh.
I think it's probably in this best state that it's been in since I played it, and I played the technical test that they had a year ago, and then I played I also got into the technical alpha that they had. I can't talk about anything through there, but what I can say is that it's probably been in the best state that it's been in out of both of those.
Okay.
Again, I like the game. It's not gonna be a wild killer. It's not gonna be a holy fuckballs game. But what it is gonna do is it's gonna allow me to, and we're already planning this, bridge the gap between a couple of my friend groups and us make a mini community and play games together and grow our Discord. And that's gonna be really cool. I like that idea.
It's going to carve out its own niche, and I do respect that much about it.
Yeah, just hopefully I don't know what Amazon's record is like in terms of they're just publishing it though anyway, right? They don't have any other.
Well, this game is their track record.
No, actually, Crucible is their track record.
What the fuck is Crucible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I mean.
Exactly.
That game was popular for all of 20 minutes, and then people were like, oof, this is terrible. And even Amazon was like, what the fuck were we thinking? They canceled that whole project.
They did.
Oh my god, how long was it out for?
I don't remember, actually.
I don't know if it ever even left its open beta state. I think they might have canceled it during the testing. If your game gets canceled, they paid for it to actually go through all the way into beta, and then they canceled it without trying to recoup their money?
According to the wiki, it became available for download May 20th, 2020 on Windows. Development since 2014 returned to a closed beta status on June 30th, 2020. On October 9th, they announced that the development would be discontinued within a month.
Holy shit. So it was out for, they paid for 6 years of development. It was out for, what, a month?
No, May to October.
Oh, it was, wow, that long? Jesus.
Well, so, I mean, it was in closed beta status after a month, yeah.
God.
Oh, a closed beta, I said, too. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, a month. It was a month.
Holy shit, that's so terrible, dude.
That sucks. I mean, I feel for him, but if it was that bad...
It sucked. I mean, even watching, like, streamers play it for 10 minutes, I was already just, nope. I wasn't all that excited anyway.
I need to see footage of this game or something. Oh, never mind. I recognize it.
You know, one thing about this game, before, because good God, I guess we're about done here, but I wasn't very sure about the theme, like the setting of this game. But the more I play it, the more I really like sort of the story, the, what do they call it? Not altered history, but imagined history. They basically take, realistic history and then they bastardize it.
Or a bit.
Yeah. I like it a lot, though.
What would that be called? Not non-fictional.
There's an actual term, and I blanking completely on it.
Realistic? Let's find out.
It is a pretty gorgeous game, considering that.
Oh, 100%. And it runs pretty well, except unless you have a 3090, then watch out. It is bricking those to shit.
Yeah, if you do, that's what VSync is made for. Like, just make sure that you're using that. That way your gaming rig isn't blasting at like 1,000 frames a second when it's only even going to register, 144, whatever it may be.
Register a good 240 for the monitor's sake if you got a 240 hertz, but outside of that, you're not getting shit out of it.
Yeah, you're just heating up your card for no good reason. And that's the only... I know that also the AMD R9 cards were still having some issues. I think they've fixed the majority of the issues with the NVIDIA cards already. I don't know for certain, but they did remind me last week when we were talking about the Steam Deck. I remembered that you had one beast of a monitor, but what is your monitor? What was it, like 240?
244 hertz, yeah.
Jeez.
It's the Predator.
That's amazing. I hate you.
It's 1920 by 1080, but it's got the hertz, and honestly, I got it for like competitive gaming for some games that I play competitively. Not competitively because I don't want that to sound like I'm a fucking competitive Chad, but I like to play the competitive versions of games. I'm not on any teams or anything like that. I don't drink G-Force yet.
Shameless plug.
This shit's not good for you. Don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, what else outside of like water is really that great for you? But I mean, don't get me wrong. I know.
But
That.
Pretty much a drink.
Hey, whiskey can be good for you. It's a natural remedy.
Whiskey.
And it's actually, booze is the reason that people even survived the bubonic plague.
Yeah, and EverQuest. It was rough, man. Hell levels? Ugh. You had to be drunk to sit there and play a level that was like 4 times the experience count. And I mean, that was back then. Dude, it would take people a month to get through level 40. I remember that shit. It was terrible. People just wouldn't stick with the game like that anymore. I think it only survived because it was pretty much the only one in the space outside of Ultima Online, and basically,
Anyways.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got like for today. I didn't really have a lot planned, to be honest. I'd like to, spend a little bit more time playing this, and I'll probably record some of the gameplay as well. That way, it's not just me running around like an asshole chopping trees for an hour while we talk about every other MMO.
I don't know.
Yeah, I will say that kind of sucked.
Assholes running around chopping down trees is majority of what people are doing right now.
Yeah.
If I can get some siege, like some siege footage, like if we're able to get into a fort siege, then we'll do that because there's a lot of stuff there, like crafting like actual siege gear.
Oh, that sounds amazing, man. Like, I'll probably end up playing quite a bit, so...
What do you want me to play?
Oh, you bitch. Did anybody hear Alexa just randomly start talking?
I did, but I was going to let it go.
Oh, there it goes.
She's still got... Will you stop
For
it?
limited time.
Alexa,
You are eligible for a
go to bed. Thank you. All right. I don't know what I said, man. It's like... I know sometimes... I must be like slurring the shit out of my asses or something tonight. My mouth might be dry. Fuck it. All right. But anyway, I'd love to do a fort raid because I've been hearing about that all damn day.
Yeah, it seems to be like one of their cornerstone things in the game, so I at least check it out. Yeah.
Did you ever play Dark Age of Camelot?
Did for a little bit. I've seen a lot of footage of it as well. I didn't play it too much myself, but I've seen a lot of footage of it.
Oh, it was fantastic. If any game needs a reboot, it would be that. With a lot of quality of life changes. So. All right. Anything else, guys? I'm probably just we'll call it there, and then I'll see what I can scrape together. It's kind of my fault. I was all over the place tonight. We'll see.
Oh, no, you're all good, man.
We'll see where it goes. I'm sure it'll be fine. I always think that, and then I go and I look at the video, and I'm like, nope, that shit's hilarious. Never mind. We were great. So we'll see.